there is one point that you really make in the book, which is the pride of achieving excellence versus the pride of achieving mastery, right? There
Mm,
are different motivations that people have, right?
mm,
Because you talk about what you call as your see, do, and feedback loop, right? That's the
hmm.
principle that you
Yeah.
largely talk about in this book. And therefore there's this whole feeling that there is a different pride in achieving excellence, and there is a
Right.
different pride in achieving mastery. In your research, what did you think were the differences that you saw, which the nuances, so to speak,
Hmm.
that you could capture, and what is it that you learned out of the vast amount of research that you have done for this book?
So I think I know what you're getting at, and I think if I can, hopefully, I'm following your thread in the right direction here. There is a distinction in a lot of the learning research on what are called like mastery motivations versus it's usually called performance motivations. So the classic context of that is like if you have a group of students in a math class, right? There's going to be some students that are mostly motivated to get an A in the class, and there's
Mm.
going to be some students that are motivated to learn the material. So learning the material is the mastery motivation, getting the A in the class is the performance motivation. And in general they kind of talk about like the mastery motivation is probably better in the long term, especially in a classroom environment where you know the getting an A in the class usually doesn't fully capture the learning objectives of the course. So it's possible to get an A in the class and have maybe a more superficial understanding that's desired. And at the same time, you can do things that will allow you to get the A that are not going to be good for setting you up for long-term mastery. So, maybe just memorizing things that you were supposed to have really understood,
Mm.
cramming so that, you're going to forget it right away, but it'll help you on the test. These are things where these kind of motivations can be in contrast. I mean, my basic assumption is that pretty much anyone who is reading a book like this has a mastery motivation. I mean, if you had a performance motivation, the easiest way to pass a test is to like get someone who can help you learn that particular test, right? It's
Mm.
someone who can be like, okay, well, this is exactly how you practice for this particular exam, and these are the little tricks and little like hooks that you can use to cheat your way into getting
Yeah.
a better mark than your actual understanding would normally allow. Whereas the kind of person who's going to sit through and read a fairly densely cited popular nonfiction book about learning, about mastery, is someone who wants to improve for itself, who wants to have that as a goal. So I have the privilege, I think, of being able to talk to an audience that largely has the right motivation. And I think you're even listening to podcasts as you've made it in a few minutes. You care about mastery. You're not just like, okay, I want to just narrowly get by on this particular class or this particular exam, even if that is also a goal of yours. And so I think the mastery motivation is something that binds my readers and my audience together. And I think the mastery motivation is so powerful because a lot of what you're dealing with, I think, in a lot of educational research in that context is the problem that a lot of students are just not motivated, that a lot of students don't really care about what you're teaching them. And so you have this problem of like, well, you're not only trying to teach them the right way, but you're trying to teach them in a way that like using carrots and sticks to get them to do the work. And we even talk about that in there's a chapter I write on mastery learning, which is a sort of a philosophy of teaching classes, which avoids using um, assignments and quizzes for grades so that if you fail one that you haven't like hampered your ability to pass the overall class. But obviously I understand why teachers do that, because if you don't assign points for intermediate homework or quizzes, students won't try to study for it because they
Yeah.
have a performance incentive. So I think that is the real benefit, the real joy of being able to write a book like this, is that you're essentially filtering out to only target an audience that actually cares about mastery.